Exercise number 7, it's white to move. Now the solution. So in every single position you have to check for the active moves, so checks, captures, threats, and in this position there are no checks, so let's see the captures. Obviously we can take on b6, but then black takes on c5, and in the end we can say that's just an equal endgame. Both have a rook and 4 pawns. Instead, we should continue with the ideas and variations. What can we continue further? And there is a move knight to e4 with a threat of going to d6 and, well, winning the rook, because actually any move of the knight is a threat because we can just take his rook with our rook. Certainly we will lose our rook due to rook takes b5, but that doesn't matter because we can win it back with the fork. And the whole idea was to save our knight, since in the end of the variation we are a piece up in an endgame, and that means we have a huge advantage. Position number 8. This is a blitz game of mine against a player who had a rating of 2750 on online blitz, and his last move was to play knight c6 with the idea, well, to attack the rook and the pawn, and he was certainly happy with his position. Now it's up to you to find the continuation for white. So certainly if you have this position, you should check for the check options first, and there is a check, namely rook bishop b4, and now black has to react. If he takes the bishop, I cannot well, force him not to take it, but if he does, then I don't need to move my rook away, as for example, if in this position I would have moved the rook, then after knight e5 black is really fine in this position. But if he exchanges his knight for my bishop, then at least I don't have to, well, move my rook, and at the same time he did help me with the pawn structure, and this rook is active. So the game isn't finished, but this isn't something that black is hoping for. Therefore, he just moved his king away. Obviously, he cannot move to e8, otherwise I just take on g7 and we win the game due to mate. So he moves to g8. If you haven't spotted the solution yet, then you can try it again. So the solution here is to check again for the check options, and there's only one, queen takes g7, and obviously that loses a queen, but still you need to check it, it might be working, and in this case it is. So check, there's only one other check that you need to continue with, because there's only one, and again after king to h7 there's only one single check left, and in the end after f5 we have the en passant rule with a finishing mate for white. So this is how you can win in a seemingly bad position just by simply applying the active moves, even against the best players. And the best what black should have done is actually playing this worse position after knight takes b4. Next position, it's black to move. So let's see the solution. The right way to continue is just taking the pawn, and for example, if white takes, you take on f3 and you have won. How can you find it? Well, check the active moves. First of all, do you have any checks? The answer is no. Do you have any captures? Yes, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. And well, after knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, there is no continuation. So after queen takes f3, pawn takes f3, well, you have given your queen up, but there's no meaningful continuation. After bishop takes h3, pawn takes h3, well, there is knight hanging, so you are happy and can play it. Now I have a second question for you, and what will happen if white takes on e5? Now the answer. You should not take the knight. This is something that you might do out of impulse in your own blitz games, just to react, but instead of reacting, you should always just do your own stuff. And as always, you need to check for checks first. This is a check, bad check, don't need to see it further. You need to see the captures. You can take on e5, you can take on e4, you can take on g2. Taking on e4 is a bit ridiculous because white takes and is fine. But as you see, there is a second option besides taking on e5. Since the idea is, if you take and you attack the rook as well, so white should or has to take back, then you take on e5, then you're really happy because you're still a pawn up. Should you instead just intuitively take immediately the knight, white takes the bishop, then you are not a pawn up any longer. And in case you are really greedy and you try to take the pawn on e4, then in fact you will actually lose the game straight away. So that's it to the active moves.